Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and on the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, the Seattle mayor is going to bat for Antifa again, but a good Samaritan is doing more for the city than he is. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline. And because my computer was slow today, I don't have that soundbite for you. It's fine.
You want me to stick this in my heart? Are you beeping nuts?
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you coming through in the pinch. It was either get the camera working or get my audio clips working, so whatever. Either way, we're fine. So today, the president basically said to Iran, you have 2 weeks. Arnold Schwarzenegger style, 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks to get your stuff together, or I'm letting Israel off the chain again. That was basically the conversation today. The White House press secretary read this statement from President Trump this morning.
Regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks."
You know what that is?
Directly from the president for all of you today.
I'm going to tell you exactly what that is. Remember on April 12th? I remember very well because it was my birthday. He said to Iran, you have 60 days to make a deal. 60 days. He is now saying to Iran, you have 2 weeks to make a deal, or we are letting them do what they want again, and we're going to be helping them out. Now, Mike, mark the date and time. It is Juneteenth, right? It is 6/19 at 3:04 p.m. So in 2 weeks, what's going to happen is probably Iran is going to try and stall for the next 2 weeks and then not make a deal because they want to save face, but they're not going to be able to do it. And then the entire media, when all of a sudden Israel starts bombing Iran again, or Donald Trump says, here's a B-2 bomber, go take out the Fordo nuclear reactor, the entire lamestream media. Well, how can he? What are you doing? Oh, he's evil. Regime change. Yeah, you'll hear that from the right and the left. Guaranteed. That's what's going to happen. Guaranteed. But meanwhile, he's making it very, very clear. So how are these talks actually going?
As for correspondence between the United States and the Iranians, I can confirm that correspondence has continued. As you know, we were engaged with 6 rounds of negotiations with them in both indirect and direct ways.
Because you know that people talk diplomatically even when they're shooting at each other to try and end these conflicts. So what exactly would a deal entail?
What exactly would a deal with Iran need to entail?
No enrichment of a uranium, and it would absolutely not. Iran is not absolutely not able to achieve a nuclear weapon. The president has been very clear about that. And by the way, the deal that Special Envoy Witkoff proposed to the Iranians was both realistic and acceptable within its terms, and that's why the president is sent that deal to them.
This is a very reasonable request. This shouldn't be that hard to keep. President Trump wants peace through strength. You don't want to have peace? Fine. We'll blow you up. Oh, now you want peace? Let's give peace a chance. Hate to borrow that phraseology.
When the president said a few weeks away, did he mean obtaining enough enriched uranium to start building a weapon, or did he mean Iran is a few weeks away from completing the production of a weapon?
I'm glad you asked that, Ouija. It's an important question, and it's one, frankly, the media has been getting wrong. Let's be very clear. Iran has all that it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon. All they need is a decision from the supreme leader to do that. And it would take a couple of weeks to complete the production of that weapon, which would, of course, pose an existential threat not just to Israel, but to the United States and to the entire world. And that is something that the entire world, including countries like Russia, is in agreement with, that Iran should not and cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. And that's why the president believes that, and he's believed that, again, not just his political career, but frankly, his entire life.
Russia has turned its back on Iran and said, guys, you're on your own. China's still helping them out, by the way. A whole bunch of transport planes left China to go to Iran this week. They're already on the way, if not there. Do you realize how this axis of evil works? Where you have Russia, Iran, China, all working together. That's how this works. So 2 weeks. Better make it count. What triggered this? Last night, Iran sent a whole bunch more ballistic missiles. Now, these aren't like the rockets that Hamas launches, that they don't know where they're going and they just fire them willy-nilly. These ballistic missiles have targeting sensors on them. They can be ranged. They know where they're going. And they fired them at Soroka Hospital in Israel. Now, this isn't a one-building little hospital. I know everybody likes to think Israel's a third world. It's not. I want you to imagine Swedish hospital. I want you to imagine Pill Hill. But I want you to imagine for a second that all those buildings are in kind of a circle shape around a courtyard. That's kind of what it looks like. And one of these rockets fell smack dab in the middle of it. Another one fell on a building that had been evacuated the day before. I'm a pretty religious guy. I speak about that all the time. Iron Dome may be awesome. God's better. Because that's a miracle, an absolute miracle. From the Jerusalem Post, about 24 hours before ballistic missiles hit Soroka Medical Center in Beersheba on Thursday, Health Ministry Director General Moshe Bar Simantov made a dramatic decision that essentially saved dozens, if not hundreds of lives. He said, clear the surgery floor in the hospital. It's not safe. The staff did so, though some thought he was exaggerating. On Thursday, they all understood why. At dawn, sirens wailed across the Negev as Iranian missiles slammed into the now empty third-floor surgical ward. Structural damage was severe, but thanks to Bar Simontov's foresight, only one patient suffered a minor injury. Dozens of others who would have been in harm's way had already been relocated to safer levels, turning what could have been a catastrophe into a narrow escape. Bar Simontov's directive came Wednesday afternoon when intelligence assessments warned of a coordinated barrage of more than 20 missiles and unmanned aerial vehicles aimed at overwhelming Israel's defenses. Recognizing Soroka's surgical unit as particularly vulnerable, he instructed hospital administrators to transfer every patient and staff member from that floor to alternate wings. By nightfall, operating theaters lay silent, and by sunrise, their vacancy proved life-saving. Born October 21st, 1976, in Yehud, and raised in Cholon and Hashmonayim to a family of Turkish descent, Bar Simantov holds a BA and an MBA in economics and finance from Hebrew University of Jerusalem. He worked at the National Insurance Institute managing welfare and health budgets, then rose to deputy budget director of the finance ministry in 2010. There, he brokered the 2011 doctor strike settlement and helped craft major education reforms. After 7 years as Israel's economic attaché in Washington, he returned in 2015 as the health ministry's first non-physician director general. His tenure has been marked by bold preventative medicine initiatives, most notably the 2020 front-of-package food labeling law and decisive leadership during the COVID-19 crisis. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. This guy saw that the hospital was a target. He saw that this building was vulnerable. Imagine out of all the buildings, there's lots of buildings as part of this hospital. Out of all of them, he said, this one is vulnerable. We need to leave. We need to move. Think about that. Now think about what we've been reporting on for almost 2 years now of Hamas and their hospitals. They know Hamas is operating under the hospitals in Gaza. Hospitals. I'm using air quotes for that. They know. And they keep people there. They keep patients there. They keep kids there because they want to use them as human shields. You know what any reasonable person would have done? Hamas is under our building. We're going to be targeted by the IDF. We got to get out of here. That's what a normal person would think. Somebody who respects life. Somebody who appreciates life. Instead, Hamas says, hey, we got to get more people in this building so that way we can have more casualties. Here's something else for the media. Last night, I was online while all this was going down. I immediately ran to a computer when I got a notification on my phone, and I was tracking all of this, trying to get casualty counts. I still don't have the full accurate numbers of how many casualties there are because Israel said, well, it's about 30 people injured, 1 critically, 4 severely. Those are the counts we have right now. What happened when a rocket fired by Palestinian Islamic Jihad went up in the air, came back down on the parking lot of one of their hospitals, which wasn't being targeted by Israel? Immediately they send out a press release. 500 people are dead. 500 people are dead, and Israel did it. And the entire mainstream media ran with it. You know, last night, how long it took before the mainstream media ran with this story? They were trying to avoid it at all costs. They didn't want to cover it because attacking hospitals like this, you are targeting civilians. You know the European hospital in Gaza that was targeted last month by the IDF? Israel targeted its parking lot. Why? Because the Hamas headquarters was underneath the parking lot. The hospital is 100% intact and still operating. Here, Iran launched these missiles into civilian populations in central Israel. And you know what the spin is on this now? You're going to love this. So they are now saying Israel hides its military assets under their hospitals. Do you know when they launched rockets at Tel Aviv, they said Israel hides its military assets under apartment buildings? Mike, I don't know if you saw the graphic I posted this morning, which people thought would be convincing. An actual Iranian reporter posted this digital 3D AI generated thing. How do I know it's AI generated? Here's what they said. They said Israel hides its fighter planes and its submarines under apartment buildings in Tel Aviv. All right, Mike's laughing in there. Mike's laughing because he knows exactly what I'm about. So first of all, it's ridiculous on its face. Ridiculous. That's number one. But number two, what did they put as the image of a submarine? I thought this was a joke, Mike. I had to go and check, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a journalist. It's an Imperial Star Destroyer from Star Wars. And they said it's a submarine that's under an apartment building in Tel Aviv. Mike is laughing. Mike is laughing because anybody can recognize what this thing is right there.
I can't. This is too much. I thought it was very similar to the one we saw yesterday with the, we've downed a B-2 bomber or whatever. And then all the memes, it's like, oh, no, they got a Imperial Star Destroyer also. I
thought it was a meme. I thought it was a meme. And this is actually what they're putting out there. This is
dumb.
So stupid. By the way, I will say, if Israel has Imperial Star Destroyers, forget the Jewish space laser. This is so much cooler. Mike's going, hey, if Israel's got Imperial Star Destroyers, can I get a ride on one? Is Darth Vader up at the top somewhere? Can we go talk to him? That's pretty badass. I want to ride on an Imperial Star Destroyer. That's awesome. I saw another graphic. I don't think I posted this one, Mike. This is great. This same reporter has a house. And you know what it is as a house? It's the kind you see as like a little stick figure kind of house. There's no rooms, there's no windows, there's no anything. But there's an F-16 inside the house pointing upwards as if it's going to be launched into the sky out of the roof of an F-16. And he's claiming, look, Israel hides F-16 in houses. That's okay. You want to say an F-35? I'm pretty sure the F-35s are the ones that have vertical land, or is that the F-22? I forget which one's which. Sorry, forgive my ignorance. I got to do some quick research on that. You want to say those are in the house? Fine. The one that Bruce Willis strapped on in the Die Hard, Live Free or Die Hard movie, that one, the F-22 Raptor. It's the F-22 Raptor. That's what it is, that one. So you want to say that's hiding in a house? Okay, sure. Why not? Israel's got giant military bases. Iran isn't attacking those. Instead, what are they attacking? They are attacking civilians. They are a death cult. That's what they're doing. So here's what probably happened last night. Bibi probably calls Trump. Mr. President, I need to talk to you. They bombed the hospital, and we want to kill the Ayatollah, and we want to turn Iran into glass. We're going to take out everything, and it's going to be bad. Bibi, let me tell you, you're my best friend. I love you. You're great. You're fantastic. But I'm trying to make a deal. So I'll tell you what, I want to make a deal. It's going to be the best deal. You're going to love it. They won't have nukes. I'll make sure no nukes. But I got to make a deal with them. Well, Mr. President, they fake their negotiating. I don't like this very much. They've been faking it for 40 years. Okay. Here's what we're going to do, Bibi, because you're my friend. I'll give them 2 weeks. And if they don't do what I want them to do, and they will because I'm the best, and they're going to listen to me, peace through strength, America first. If they don't listen to me, then you can bomb them, okay? Yes, Mr. President, that sounds great. I guarantee you that was the conversation last night because they bombed a hospital. I guarantee you that was the conversation. Don't believe the lies of people on the left and the trolls on social media and the bots on social media who are saying, one, that there's Imperial Star Destroyers under hospitals. That would be really cool if there was. And by the way, If there's an Imperial Star Destroyer under a hospital, by the way, the building doesn't even look like the hospital. The building looks like a school or something.
Oh, no, but the blueprint, separate word, confirm it.
Ah, yes. Wait, hang on. I got an idea. Mike, I have an idea. Israel could fix its tourism problem right now. Every Star Wars convention should be at this hospital because there's a Star Destroyer in the basement. It's like when they wanted to build a full-scale replica of the Enterprise on the Vegas Strip, but then Paramount, head of the studio, shut it down because they thought, it wasn't a worthwhile investment. Dude, they would have every Star Trek convention there. Here's the thing. This is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And yet some people in the media are going along with this. Now, here's something interesting. J.D. Vance he's a little bit more isolationist than I would prefer. That's his thing. Okay, that's fine. You know what? Him and I are allowed to disagree, but I like J.D. Vance, and he's a little bit more isolationist. He was putting out an interesting series of tweets the other day about all this. He was talking about it on social media. He was talking about it over on X, and he said, I want to address some things directly on the Iran issue in response to crazy stuff on social media. He said that President Trump has been amazingly consistent over 10 years, saying Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Over the past few months, he encouraged his foreign policy team to reach a deal with the Iranians to accomplish this goal. The president had made it clear that Iran cannot have uranium enrichment, and he said repeatedly that this would happen one of two ways, the easy way or the other way. Second, I've seen a lot of confusion over the issue of civilian nuclear power and uranium enrichment. These are distinct issues. Iran could have civilian nuclear power without enrichment, but Iran rejected that. Meanwhile, they've enriched uranium far above the level necessary for any civilian purpose. They've been found in violation of their non-proliferation obligations by the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is hardly a right-wing organization. He's right. By the way, you know what this reminds me of? And this clip was going around the interweb? That awful Sacha Baron Cohen movie, The Dictator. All right, it's terrible. It's awful. Do not watch it. But when it's supposed to be an Iranian ruler or something. He gets up there and he's giving a speech and he says, we are going to continue our Iranian enrichment for peaceful purposes. And he starts laughing. He can't even keep it together. That was kind of true. Vance added, it's one thing to want civilian nuclear energy. It's another thing to demand sophisticated enrichment capacity. And still another thing to cling to enrichment while simultaneously violating basic non-proliferation obligations and enriching right to the point of weapons-grade uranium. He says he has yet to see a single good argument why Iran needed to enrich uranium well above the threshold for civilian use and why Iran was justified in violating its non-proliferation obligations. Quote, meanwhile, the president has shown remarkable restraint in keeping our military's focus on protecting our troops and protecting our citizens. He may decide he needs to take further action to end Iranian enrichment. That decision ultimately belongs to the president. Of course, people are right to be worried about a foreign entanglement over the last 25 years of idiotic foreign policy. But I believe the president has earned some trust on this issue, and having seen this up close and personal, I can assure you that he is only interested in using the American military to accomplish the American people's goals. Whatever he does, that is the focus. By the way, well said, JD. And I disagree with JD on a lot of foreign policy stuff. I really do. But I think that is very, very well said. So I put the question out to you. Do you think that President Trump should have given Iran 2 weeks, give peace a chance, as you might say? Or do you think we should have just taken Israel off the chain now? Let me know what you think. 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Calls or text. I want to know what you think. When we come back, my friends, lots more to discuss. Speaking of terrorists, the mayor of Seattle is backing Antifa again. Can you believe this nonsense? We'll tell you what he said when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Seems like most of you think the 2 weeks is okay, but most of you would rather bomb Iran right now. Steve in Tacoma says, release the dogs of war. That's like, oh, wait, hang on. One person here liked my Netanyahu versus Trump impression conversation. One person. I do like the person a couple days ago who said, Ari, you need to work on your Trump. Bring back the Inslee impression, which I think everybody can agree on. Do you guys understand? I do them as bad impressions, but for some reason, Inslee sounding like a doofus is what everybody enjoys. He's more doofusy. I've tried to match the real thing, but I think it's that the doofusy lines up with how dumb he is. I think that's what resonates with everybody.
Did you see the one from Robin Lakewood? He was like, Bibi or Henry Kissinger? Because like I'm like that's slipping Kissinger.
You know what my wife says? My wife says, Ari. Oh, sorry, my wife. She says, Ari, you have one impression. It's Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, and you do it really, really well. And everything is a variation of Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Higher pitched Mr. Burns, lower pitched Mr. Burns. She says literally every impression you do. I said, that is not true. And then I did my Gavin Newsom. Hey, that's not true. That's not true at all. She goes, that's just scratchy voice, Mr. Burns. They're all the same impression as what you do, Hoffman. When she calls me Hoffman, she means business. That's that. Anyway, switching gears, there was an article in the Seattle Times, and it is complete clickbait. It says, riots, bad drivers, Dix is overrated. Is this your Seattle? Tell us. So, what they write is it's summertime and you're hosting visitors. They have questions. On June 12th on TripAdvisor was this query from someone whose parents were planning a visit here. Advice, please. Situation in Seattle right now. Is the riot bad? They wrote, what? Our Seattle? The context was the demonstrations here against immigration raids. No, Seattle Times. The context was the video of the riots in Tukwila and at Seattle's federal building and the stuff they saw in 2020. To this day, people still say to me when they're coming here, hey, is that autonomous zone still a thing? So, in April, Rome 360 posted on TikTok, Seattle is what happens when billion-dollar tech companies move in and the city forgets it's made of actual people. Sky-high rents, luxury towers, and traffic that feels like a punishment. No. Seattle is what happens when local elected officials kill the golden goose, don't make accommodations for the fact that they're having so much growth, restrict how much you can build, and then defund a police department and let Antifa run the city. Bruce Harrell was talking to Como News, and he said in a statement regarding the protest, because Jeremy Harris, by the way, Jeremy Harris has been doing a stellar job over at Como News, holding them accountable. Did an article on Cam Higbee getting beaten up. I was shocked. I couldn't believe Como News ran it, but Como News has been doing a good job. So they asked Bruce Harrell for a comment. He said, the vast majority of Seattle protesters demonstrated their commitment to peaceful protest. As we've made clear repeatedly, the actions of a few bad actors will not be allowed to define our city, now and in future protests. The city will continue to take a coordinated approach to facilitate free speech and protect the life and safety of our residents. When are you going to start? You said continue. Right now, these riots continue. You made 4 arrests out of 50 people that were attacking your officers. You made 0 arrests of the people who attacked Cam Higbee. Independent journalists like Katie Daviscourt had to do the job of identifying these guys for you. Silver platter, here you go. Go arrest the guy. Still hasn't been arrested. By the way, the vast majority of Seattle people being peaceful, fine. You know, I'm sure the majority of the time Ted Bundy wasn't killing people, but he still did it enough that that's what we know him for. These videos, you guys could have stopped as soon as they started. And you know what the videos would have said? Wow, Seattle's not messing around anymore. Like what happened in Portland last night. Last night in Portland, Jonathan Cho was down there documenting that Antifa showed up to an ICE facility. Now, what was amazing down there was dozens, if not 100, federal officers were down there waiting. And it was crazy when you see them go to head to head with these Antifa losers and their plastic shields made out of garbage cans. It looks like they're trying to play hero in cosplay thing and losing horribly. It was almost laughable. I could watch this thing on repeat again and again and again when the federal agents move in to take them out. And that was the big story last night. Federal agents mean business, and they're making an example out of Portland, where they're saying we're not going to put up with your shenanigans anymore. By the end of it, there were like 10 Antifa guys left sitting around going, "Oh, cops are bastards," in Jay Inslee style. Maybe Jay Inslee was there. I don't know. See, all my impressions are Jay Inslee. All my impressions are Mr. Burns. Excellent. So what happens is here they made an example out of Portland, and I guarantee you, if they continue doing this, Antifa in Portland is going to look for other targets. You know where they're going to come? Here, because it's close by. And they know nothing's going to happen to them. So Bruce Harrell is calling for a day of community service to clean up the city. You know what? You guys still haven't cleaned up the federal building. One guy, literally one guy, has been out there doing it himself and gives a new meaning to not all heroes wear capes. There's a guy named Mark Wilson on social media. Posted a video. It's a time-lapse video of himself cleaning up the vandalism at the federal building, just out of the goodness of his heart. When was the last time you saw the city cleaning anything around here? Oh, we're going to have one day of service, and then we're ready for the World Cup. You know what everybody tells me when they come into town? By the way, just saw some people in town last night who are here from Los Angeles. From Los Angeles! And they said to me, what the hell happened to your city? They're from Los Angeles, which is a dump these days. They were expecting to come here, a beautiful mountain, so clean. And what do they see on the freeway? What's with all the homeless people? What's with all the graffiti? I didn't realize you guys had those problems here, too. On top of the Antifa and everything else, it kind of all goes hand in hand. So my question for you is, getting back to the Seattle Times clickbait. Riots, bad drivers, Dix is overrated. Is this your Seattle? Seattle's shocked. The Seattle Times is shocked. Oh my God, people don't like our city very much. Guess what? They're not reading your paper. They're reading real news. They're seeing videos online of what's going on here. And if you guys continue ignoring it, that's what makes you irrelevant. So text us and let us know what you think of Seattle. 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Anthony in Lakewood. Anthony, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? Hey, I just want to say a couple points, but hey, your impression of Netanyahu and Trump, dude, I thought that was better than your Jay Inslee one. You had me on the ground.
You can call back anytime. We'll put you at the front of the line, sir. You say nice things about me. You get to call back. Yeah, what's on your mind?
Oh, yeah, here's one of the things I want to know is, like, all these people want to dox all these ICE agents and everything. They can't wear masks. They can't do this. Even they have people in government doing that. Why is it legal for people like in Antifa to wear black, or whatever you call that stuff? They could cover their face while they're protesting. They have their First Amendment right. They have the right for that. If you feel that strongly about what you believe in, uncover your face. That's why I say I don't know why it's illegal for them to do that while they commit crimes and everything. But they want ICE to be uncovered.
Exactly.
They should have a law that if you're going to protest, they should have a law. If you're going to be a protester, uncover your face. We're not in COVID anymore.
Right, exactly. Well, here's the thing. Stand up for what you believe in. Most weekends, I'm at some kind of Israel rally. I never cover my face.
Absolutely.
I show up. I got my American flag. I got my Israeli flag. I'm pretty easy to spot. You know, the only thing concealed when I go to these things is my sidearm because I don't want to freak everybody out. But I have that in case Antifa or anybody else shows up. At these things, if you stand for something, then stand for something. I mean, I learned that the hard way at UW on October 12th when I showed up to one of those big Hamas protests and I decided to walk right through the crowd with an Israeli flag. If you believe in something, stand by what you believe in. Anthony, great call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, should the State Department be allowed to screen people who want to immigrate to the U.S. for their social media content? Well, that's exactly what they're going to start doing under Marco Rubio. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I gotta say, I'm loving the legislation on the text line about my impressions. They're kind of entertaining. I like the person who said they like my Nancy Pelosi. We haven't done that one in a while. My Nancy Pelosi reminds me of Bugs Bunny. Really, it does. You tell me the difference, right?
Gavin, I want you to run for president, Gavin. Joe Biden, best leader we've ever had.
Right, that's Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, what's up, Doc? Right, they're the same thing. Literally. Nancy Pelosi sounds like Bugs Bunny. Well, at least the way I do those impressions. Anyway, switching gears entirely over here. Do you think that the State Department should be checking out people's social media in the vetting process for them to become citizens of the U.S.? I do. I completely do. Oh, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. Yeah, guess what? You want to get freedom of speech in this country? Then we want you in this country. Imagine if somebody had all this KKK stuff all over their social media. What would the left say? White supremacist. We don't want them. They're a racist. They're a bigot. They're this. They're that. What if it was a whole bunch of anti-LGBTQ stuff? They'd say the same thing. So the State Department, according to Fox News, is planning to bolster its efforts to vet and screen the social media of those applying for international student and exchange visitor visas to ensure applicants don't pose a national security threat to the U.S. By the way, we know people who brag about being national security threats on their social media channels. To do this, the State Department is temporarily suspending new student and exchange visitor visa interviews as it evaluates enhanced social media screenings for the application process. The effort is the latest initiative from the Trump administration to crack down on immigration and revoke visas of those attending academic institutions in the U.S. Those who've publicly supported Palestine have faced increased scrutiny, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio said in May that the administration has reviewed the visa status of those who participated in pro-Palestine protests. Okay, some of you might yell at me about this one for a second, so let me put this out here. Watch me be pro-Palestinian without criticizing Israel. This is not something I necessarily believe. I'm just going to demonstrate the point for a second. Watch. I believe that the Palestinians deserve their own state. Boom! Did it say anything having to do with it? Look how easy that was. It's when you start going, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. It's when you start doing all the stuff, calling for the destruction of the state of Israel. That's when you start sounding like a terrorist. So I want to know what you think. Should we be vetting everybody's social media before they become a citizen? I think yes. I'm happy for you to disagree with me. Give me a call or a text, 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Meanwhile, the lamestream media is losing their minds, absolutely losing their minds. So after the weekend riots, mostly peaceful protests, CNN and MSNBC pundits reported over the course of 48 hours that the anti-ICE unrest that included riots happening in Los Angeles was peaceful over 200 different times. I mean, this is the kind of thing that it sounds like that meme from The Simpsons, right? What's that meme from The Simpsons where they say the line, right? That's what it sounds exactly like that. Like, do the meme. Say the line. Remember when we did this one?
Say the line.
But I've been double vaccinated, double boosted. Symptoms are mild.
Yeah, it's like that, only for mostly peaceful. You have to call them peaceful. You can't say they're not peaceful. 211 times, even as they're looting stores, burning cars, assaulting police officers? Are you kidding me? ICE has said they've seen a 500% increase on assaults on officers because these Looney Toonies think it's okay. By the way, getting back to our previous topic about Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell supporting Antifa, you know he's all mad now? Do you know what he's big mad about now? He's all mad that the Trump administration has cut off counterterrorism funds to Seattle. I'm going to say, first of all, what were you actually going to do with those funds? Because I don't believe you're actually going to spend it on anything counterterrorism at all. Because you don't deal with the domestic terrorists who are outside your own building. Seattle City Hall is not that far away from the federal building downtown. You guys don't do anything about Antifa. You didn't do anything about Antifa during the Summer of Love. You haven't done anything for the last 5 years about them. You didn't do anything about them when you were on the Seattle City Council. Now you're suing the Trump administration over withholding federal counterterrorism funds. Look, nobody's more serious about counterterrorism than me. I would say that, right? Mike knows that. Mike's nodding his head in agreement right there. But at the same time, I said, how do I know you're actually going to use those funds? Aren't you guys the ones that want to demilitarize the police department? What are you actually going to use those funds for? No, it's probably going into one big, giant pot. And you know what? You know how you could fix this? It's so easy to fix this. All you got to do is arrest the Antifa types. and they'll see you're serious about this stuff. And maybe they'll be a little bit looser about it. Also, maybe comply with some of the other federal laws, and they might be a little bit looser about it. But you want to have your cake and eat it too. You don't want to follow federal rules, but you want all the federal money. I'm tired of this. Round we go. Let's just sue the Trump administration for our mistakes. It's pretty easy. Comply with federal law, and you get federal funds. If not, you're stuck with the funds that you have. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Leonard in Shoreline. Leonard, what's going on?
Hey, nothing much. I've been out sick for the last couple of days due to my allergies and everything.
I'm sorry.
You know, that's all right. Say, I want to let you know about your Donald Trump imitation. Keep it up. You're very good at that.
Thank you. It's the best impression you've ever heard, Leonard. That means so much to me. Quite frankly, you're the best caller we have. Best caller ever. Leonard, appreciate the call. Appreciate the compliment. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, Turd Ferguson weighs in on the SCOTUS decision about child mutilation. And it's everything you knew it would be. We'll give you the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs. Wait, I don't know if she identifies as Congresswoman. Is it just Congressperson, Congressmember, Representative? Let's go with Representative. Representative Sarah Jacobs was grilling Pete Hegseth yesterday and left herself open for quite the commentary from our Secretary of Defense.
Because if it were, you would be keeping these women in. Instead, you are the one injecting culture wars into the military, and it's at the detriment of our military readiness and national security. Now, General Kane, I'd like to turn to you.
So to be clear, these are men who think they're women.
These are women. I'm happy to educate you on
But these are
on trans
and so
issues at another
what we've
time.
identified is that there's mental health issues with that belief system.
I'd like to turn
that
to general
are
opinions
detrimental
now.
to readiness, and that's the determination that we've made and that we stand behind. Gender dysphoria.
And so you don't
Okay, that was fun because the truth is it is a mental disorder where you're thinking you need to cut off pieces of your healthy anatomy. We should be discussing it that way. Instead, everybody's advocating for child mutilation. Look, I'm sorry to be so graphic, but that's really what it is at this point. You want to say you want to do whatever you want when you get older, that's fine. That's fine. You want to change your gender when you're over 18 and you're out of your parents' house or whatever, that's fine. But until that point, shouldn't we have some protection for minors? How many more of these detransitioners have we found because these kids are being brainwashed to think they're a different gender by their teachers, by their school social workers, by whoever's there? So Bob Ferguson is weighing in on the Supreme Court decision yesterday where the Supreme Court said, yeah, you can't do this to kids. That's basically the basic summary of what they said. So what does Bob Ferguson say? He says today's U.S. Supreme Court decision is deeply disappointing and harmful to transgender individuals. How is it harmful? No, really, I'm asking seriously, how is it harmful? Because as I see it, cutting off healthy parts of your anatomy, that's harmful. You want to say it deals with the suicide rates? It doesn't. The suicide rates actually go up afterwards. You are chemically castrating these kids, or you are doing it through surgery for the rest of their lives. These are irreversible surgeries that cannot be undone. And yet you've got people advocating for them. He continued by saying, in Washington, we stand up for and support transgender people, including transgender youth. That won't change as long as I'm governor. Well, okay, he's actually right about that last part. What the Supreme Court decision did was kick it back to the states. So if Washington wants to continue doing this, it can continue doing this. And if Tennessee doesn't want to keep doing this, they won't keep doing this. It's very, very simple. But everybody's trying to virtue signal on this. Now, here's something else. No matter how you feel about this issue for somebody who turns 18, somebody when they're older, somebody in the military, 80% of the U.S. population agrees you shouldn't be doing it to kids. 80%. You guys want to be on the wrong side of that issue? Well, Bob Ferguson, I know you got aspirations to run for president, but they were torpedoed by your own party when they started sabotaging you and saying, oh, you want to be a moderate? No, sir. We want the far left liberal Bob Ferguson back. And if you do this, if you play games with us, we're going to sabotage you. Bob Ferguson now knows he can never run for president. He may try, but he will not be successful. It'll just be to try and get some national name recognition so he could be attorney general or something. So we have other locals who are weighing in on this. So Senator Patty Murray wrote, politicians should not be able to interfere in healthcare decisions. I'm sorry. Didn't you support all the COVID insanity? Didn't you support all the COVID insanity? She said that belongs between doctors, patients, and their families. Didn't you guys mandate stuff for a whole bunch of federal workers and a whole bunch of state workers and a whole bunch of city workers? Patty Murray is the last one who should be weighing in on this, just should be the last one. Pramila Jayapal, the spokeswoman for Hamas, says this ruling is putting a cruel and politically motivated policy over the lives of people. It puts the government between doctors and their patients. Oh, here we go again. You guys, do you not remember what you did during COVID? Do you not remember the restrictions? Do you not remember the mandates and all that? They also said, it says that the legislature knows better than the medical professional or the parent. Okay, you don't even understand the ruling. You don't. Somebody gave you the talking points. And also here in Washington, it's not going anywhere. What are they doing? They're using this all to virtue signal to their base. How do I know this? Jayapal held a press conference at her Seattle office. Had a press conference to do this. Why is she doing that? So she can fundraise off it. It is so transparent. They are trying to use these kids as props. They are trying to use this issue as props. Look, kid leaves her house, or over 18, they can do what they want. Do I agree with this decision? Absolutely not. But at the same time, they can do what they want. For years, we called it gender dysmorphia. We called it body dysmorphia. We had terms for this stuff because they are clinical problems. We had them in DSM-5. We had them in that's the Gray's Anatomy of the mind, by the way. To my knowledge, it hasn't been updated yet. I know they tried to, and they got severe blowback for it. Somebody in the field could tell me if I'm wrong about that. This was a mental disorder, and it should be treated as such. You really want people going into combat with guns? Aren't you guys the ones all about the red flag laws? And yet you're saying you want to give guns to people who aren't sure what body they're in. It is something that needs to be addressed psychologically. Surgically hasn't worked. And we've seen the number of detransitioners growing and growing and growing. Europe stopped doing this. Do we really want to be doing something that Europe stopped doing because of how dangerous it is? Because of what it does to kids over a lifespan? No, I don't think so. I can't believe Europe's ahead of us on something. Europe, of all, we left that place happily. We don't want to be like Europe. Of course not. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, it is your chance to take the trip or keep the cash. Yes, we'll be giving you the word at 4 o'clock so you can win fantabulous prizes. Plus, we have the dumbest criminals in Washington. We're going to tell you how stupid they are when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and on the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, could you get a GPS tracker shot onto your car by SPD if you're speeding? We'll tell you all about it. But before we get to any of that, it is time for KVI's Take the Trip or Keep the Cash, my friends. This week, you can get away to Venice, Italy, with gondola rides, candlelit pasta, and Prosecco beneath Venetian skies, or have a chance at $3,000 cash, my friends. Now, all you have to do is text the keyword I give you. Nothing else. Not your name, not your phone number. We have caller ID. It's been around since the 1990s. If you win, you don't find us. We find you. So all you have to do is text the keyword just once, just one time. Text the keyword to the number I give you. Today's keyword is jet. Exactly. As in we're getting buzzed by a jet at the studio right now. Those Blue Angels got here early this year. They're buzzing the tower. Damn it, Maverick. Right? That's what's happening here right now. He's flying by in his jet. J-E-T. Jet. Exactly. So all you have to do...
I don't know why there's two of them. They're just they come in pairs.
They come in pairs. All you have to do is text the word. They're on their way to go bomb Iran right now. All you have to do is text the word JET, J-E-T, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We'll get you in the daily drawing to get a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card, and you could win the trip or keep the cash with KVI. You have until 5 p.m. to enter. Your next chance at winning comes tomorrow at 8 a.m. during the morning ride with Phil and Zach. Check out Daniel. Man, those guys really like flying over here. You know, that's really like Seafair when they're practicing and you don't even know. It's like the Thursday or the Friday before when you're not ready for the show and you're like, I kind of got some things to do today. I want to watch, but I can't. Check out danielsbroiler.com to reserve a table, place your takeout or delivery order, and more. Speaking of jetting, no, that's not the word. The word is jet, J-E-T. But there he goes again. You know who decided to jet? You remember that guy who ran away at the airport from the deputies that were transporting him back to his home state so he could be prosecuted for his crimes? You remember this guy? And then he escaped? Well, according to Como News, a man who escaped custody at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport and had been on the run ever since is now in the King County Jail. Are they going to fly him out of here? Is that what they're going to do? Or you think maybe they're going to drive him out of here? Maybe put him on a train because that's how he escaped the first time. Cedric Stevenson fled the terminal on May 5th, boarded a train, and disappeared. Which we all saw the video of that. It was a real Keystone Cops type operation where the guy's tripping over passengers, tripping over luggage, trying to get him. And then here's my question. Okay, I'm not so familiar with the light rail because normally when I take it, it's home from a Seahawks game, maybe. Usually I get somebody to pick me up. I don't like taking the light rail. So what happens? Stevenson manages to get to the light rail, and as the doors close, no, he escapes. We all remember this? Now here's my question. Mike has informed me that it's a little bit of a ride from SeaTac to the next stop, right? A little bit of a ride. You can't make a call and say, shut down the light rail or get officers to the light rail or something. Plus, the light rail eventually ends. It's not that big of a line, right? Should have been pretty easy to catch this guy. But here's why he's an extra stupid criminal. So, Stevenson was in the custody of contracted agents who were attempting to transport him to Bowling Green, Kentucky to be booked for several warrants. Airport spokesperson Perry Cooper said Stevenson escaped at the United ticket counter with just a couple passengers in line. In one photo provided by the Port of Seattle, Stevenson's hands were cuffed in front of him, and another after his escape. His hands were tucked into his shirt. So what happens is detectives from the Seattle Police Department's Gun Violence Reduction Unit, who are assigned to the U.S. Marshals Task Force, found Stevenson at a home in Seattle. Okay. This wasn't like the guy had to pull the Running Man, where he had to find somebody to get the collar off him that's going to blow up his head, right? It's not like that. Okay, he had to get rid of his handcuffs. All right, you get a hacksaw, you can get rid of handcuffs. No problem. Or you get somebody who knows how to pick a lock. I assume the criminal has some criminal friends that he can find. They found him in Seattle. In Seattle. Why didn't dude get on a bus out of town? They don't check ID on buses. Why didn't dude get on Amtrak out of town? They don't track ID on Amtrak. And yet he stayed here? What a dumb criminal after such a daring escape, let me tell you. He was arrested, booked into the King County Jail, where he's being held pending extradition to Kentucky under a governor's warrant. He's not the only stupid criminal around here, my friends. This one is another one from Como News. A Bellevue man who bragged on social media about the money he made from being a pimp. Stop right there. Gee, how'd they know he was breaking the law? Oh, I don't know. Let me read that sentence again. A Bellevue man who bragged on social media about the money he made from being a pimp. Well, gee, why don't you tell us all the laws you're breaking on social media? Will spend 35 years in prison after he was convicted at trial on charges including human trafficking and promoting prostitution. Prosecutors and police used a social media post to build their case against the 32-year-old Cedric Dorsey II, who used the name CCC Cash Chase. I don't even know what he's saying here. He said, "I'm so pimpish." Wow. Wow. Major Ellen Inman of the Bellevue Police said, "I am happy to take what they post and include in the scope of our investigation. That's the way I look at social media and the way that people advertise their criminal activity. If you advertise it and make it available for us to use in our investigation, that's what we'll do." By the way, Washington State Patrol, same thing. Remember those lunatics who shut down I-5 on January 6, 2024? You remember those fools? Well, they all posted the videos on social media. When they realized the people with the videos who were in the videos were the ones being arrested, then they said, "Oh, wait, we got to delete these videos." Sure, you really stand by your convictions until there's prison time attached to it. Bellevue police began their investigation into Dorsey back in 2024 when patrol officers were called to a report of domestic violence. The officers noticed signs of human trafficking and referred the case to detectives for a follow-up. Quote, "They listened to what the victim was saying. Things weren't adding up, and she was in a very dangerous situation. The woman told police that Dorsey was her boyfriend. He was making her perform sex work and give him the proceeds. The victim recalled at this time that Dorsey purchased a hotel room for her and got her ads posted, and then she began seeing, shall we just call them, customers. Victims stated that Dorsey was always the one to book the hotel rooms for her, explaining that he always wanted to control everything. For a large percentage of prostitution dates, Dorsey required the victim to obtain a deposit from a client to verify they were not law enforcement. The woman said Dorsey sold her for sex in different cities, including Seattle, Bellevue, Kent, SeaTac, Renton, and Las Vegas. Oh, that's interstate trafficking. According to the charges, Dorsey physically beat her several times, stomped on her face, which resulted in her being hospitalized. Meanwhile, Dorsey's posts on social media bragged about how much money he was making from being a pimp. When police served a search warrant on Dorsey's home, they found $12,000 in cash, 3 firearms, including an AK-47. So, you have the prosecuting attorney's office from King County saying it is the idea of selling the dream, saying, I have these nice things. If you come with, you can have all this. And when you are talking to someone who has had a very rough upbringing or a life, that's a vulnerability they exploit. Those underlying concepts we see are more common in a lot of our cases. So it's really important that traffickers are held accountable, because if they aren't, they will constantly seek other women to exploit. This is very important for the community. This is happening in our backyards. These are women and young men. A jury found Dorsey guilty of human trafficking in the second degree, promoting prostitution in the first degree, and unlawful possession of a firearm in the first degree. 2 of the counts included a mandatory 60-month firearm enhancements. At sentencing last month, the judge imposed a sentence of 35 years in prison, followed by a term of community custody. I'm shocked the judge didn't just release the guy and say, oh, you know what? We feel bad for you. Tussle. We're just going to release the pimp. Just let him go. Court records showed Dorsey had multiple felony convictions of theft, burglary, attempting to elude police, organized retail theft, and possession of a controlled substance by a prisoner. Wait a second. I have a question. I thought that by allowing prostitution on Aurora Avenue and in Seattle, it was going to reduce sex trafficking. It was going to make things safer for these sex workers because it's a real job, right? I mean, I remember the Seattle City Council making these arguments and people on the left parroting these dumb arguments. I remember this. We all saw this coming. Well, here's one for you. Here's another outrageous law story. Here we go. This one's from My Northwest. Search teams in Chelan County are tracking down tips from psychics who claim to have information that could lead to the whereabouts of the homeless former soldier Travis Decker, who has been at the center of a manhunt in eastern Washington. Psychics? Really? This is what we're doing? Hey, if the Psychic Friends hotline or network works so well, how come they didn't know they were going to go out of business? Anybody? I'm just asking. Right, Mike, across from Como Plaza. You guys told me about this. I wasn't there for this. There was that little shack that you could see the word psychic used to be there. And I would always...
The shack is still there,
The shack is still... You can see it. If you park in that parking lot across from Como Plaza, the shack is still there, though I think it's surrounded by needles and other fun stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Didn't see that one coming. Oh, no.
So tell me why you bother opening up the psychic shack and not knowing you were going to go out of business. So now the psychics are helping in the manhunt. I remember Tommy Lee Jones going, I want a search of every outhouse, doghouse, penthouse, whatever, right? I remember that whole thing. But I don't remember him saying, and call the nearest psychic and palm reader and tarot card reader and get them down here to help us.
It'd be a very different movie.
Oh my God. If we did The Fugitive today, if we wokeified The Fugitive, right? Oh, man. It just starts with Tommy Lee Jones and bringing the psychics and the tarot card readers and everybody else. The whole Me Too movement. You're going to have protests against Richard Kimball from the Me Too movement. We're going to have holy cow. Can you imagine what we could do to this thing? Oh, wait a second. Dr. McGregor, he's a doctor. You can't question the science, Dr. Richard Kimball. You don't get exonerated. How dare you talk about RU-490 or whatever it was, right? You don't get to question the science. He's a doctor. It doesn't matter that he swapped the samples. That doesn't matter. No, I'm sorry. You can't question Dr. McGregor, even though he's the bad guy.
Yeah, science denier Richard Kimball. Also super ableist. He's, by the way, he had a mechanical arm. It's like, that's ableist, Mr. Kimball.
Yes. Oh my God. How much more can we? Oh, wait. No Irish parade.
No.
No,
Super canceled.
That St. Patty's Day parade, that thing's going bye-bye. LGBTQ parade. He's not going to put on a little hat to get through there. He's going to strip off his clothes and put on a thong or something to get through that. He'll be up on a float going, hey, that's... What else could you do to The Fugitive to make it more woke and more modern? Well, take it right out of Chicago and drop that sucker right there in Seattle. That's what, oh man. Holy cow, we're right. Oh, no, wait. Don't remake The Fugitive. Don't do it. Please don't do it. But yeah, bringing the psychics to help with this? Okay, all right. Meanwhile, there's this other crazy story. Jeremy Harris was sharing video from police body cameras showing first responders working to save people who were in a car that plunged into the water off the Edmonds Ferry dock while fleeing police on Tuesday night. 2 people in the submerged Mini Cooper died and 3 others were taken to the hospital after the car went into the water just after 11 p.m. What do you think was going on in that car? Are you saying run from the cops, run, or you think some people were saying, no, stop the car, let me out? According to police, a Washington State Patrol trooper tried to stop the Mini Cooper when it was speeding on I-5. The car took off and the trooper terminated the case shortly afterwards. The Snohomish County Sheriff's Office deputy saw the same vehicle driving at speeds of over 100 miles an hour and again attempted to stop the car as it weaved through traffic. A sheriff's spokesperson said the car hit speeds of 120 miles per hour and drove into the city of Edmonds. Deputies saw a gate at the Edmonds Ferry terminal had been destroyed, and he investigated to find the vehicle had plunged into the water directly past the ferry dock. Police said the 29-year-old driver survived the crash and was taken into custody, but 2 of the passengers did not make it out and died in the water. Como News obtained body camera videos in the response through a public records request on Wednesday. The video shows the perspective of 2 Edmonds police officers who assisted in throwing flotation devices to the survivors and pulling them from the water. By the way, these guys were running from police, and the police still tried to save them, by the way. Think about that. These guys risked their lives to try and save these guys. Investigators said the driver is a man from Tulalip, and drugs and alcohol impairment is a suspected factor of the crash. Yeah, that sounds about right. Par for the course. You know what else is going on around here? This is a crazy one. Seattle University. Apparently yesterday there were 8 to 12 protesters in one of their buildings. One pulled a fire alarm, and Seattle U administrators asked for them to be arrested. SPD reported they were leaving voluntarily. I went on all the different chat groups and Instagram pages of all these fools. I couldn't find what they were protesting yesterday. Was it ICE? Was it Palestine? Was it what were they protesting? There's so many causes out there. Was it Trump? Was it no kings? Was it we want more lunch food in the cafeteria? Was it we want more recess? I mean, it's college. How much more recess could you have? What are these guys actually protesting? Last but certainly not least, this one. Oh dear. Up on Beacon Hill yesterday, we saw from the police scanner reports of a gunshot inside an RV. Okay. So I'm sorry, I can't say homeless. I'm sorry. That was insensitive of me. Our unsheltered neighbors appeared to be having a dispute where one of them walked into an RV of another unsheltered neighbor with a shotgun and shot them in the back of the head. That's what we're dealing with here. What? You know, they're all just ex-Amazon workers that were fired by Jeff Bezos, right? Every single one of them. Yeah, no danger at all whatsoever. How do homeless people get a shotgun? Gee, I don't know. Yeah, seems like we got a lot of crimes here that weren't prevented by any of our gun laws. When we come back, my friends, lots more to discuss as the show continues. Could SPD about to be using GPS fired from a gun that attaches to your car to follow you? We'll have all details for you when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Remember, coming up at 5:45, your chance to win fantabulous prizes. No, we're not giving away hundreds of millions of dollars in a safe that we stole from Rio. What we are giving away is 4 tickets to the Bremerton Air Show and a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card. Yeah, another reason to always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI, left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com, download the KVI app, and, of course, subscribe to us on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. What's with the Fast and Furious references? We will tell you in just 1 minute, but first we go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Rob in Stanwood. Rob, what's going on?
Yeah, a tent is a shelter, and a trailer is even a better shelter. If you got a motor home, I mean, dang, that's like a mobile home. I don't know how you could be homeless if you got a motor home. God, you could go anywhere with a motor home.
Exactly.
I think maybe what they are, they're probably unstick-framed housed people.
Oh, we can do better than that. Come on, Rob. Let's work on this, okay? Let's work on this. No property tax paying people. How about that?
Oh, damn, you got me on that one.
Right, very good. Appreciate the
One
call.
of these days, I live to be that way.
Oh, don't we all? Don't we all wish that? Yes, taxation is theft. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. I do love some of these comments about our fugitive legislation, Mike. They say that Ashley Judd could be a U.S. Marshal. Maybe in the 90s, guys. I don't know. I mean,
I can mess with that. I saw that Double Jeopardy.
Yeah, I was going to say,
we
we saw that movie.
Two great reasons to watch that movie. Actually, it's pretty good. I like that movie.
The Double Jeopardy I like. The Along Came a Spider I don't think. Which one was the... I forget which one was
Kiss the
which.
Girls.
Kiss the Girls. Right. I
was going to say, I like Along Came the Spider.
I don't remember which one I didn't like. There's something in
Gotcha.
there. You know
It's
what
all
I'm
Morgan
talking. It's
Freeman.
all together, yeah. All right, would the fugitive today be called the alleged suspect? Yes, that's not a bad one either.
It's not bad, but factually inaccurate because he was already convicted, Richard Kimball.
Yes.
So he was a fugitive.
Yes, exactly. It wasn't him. It was the one-armed man. Oh, I'm sorry. The
Yeah,
one-armed
please.
person.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. The handy-capable person?
He was very capable.
He was capable of murder. In fact, he killed that cop, too.
Right.
And God knows how many people else. And framing Richard Kimball for Devin McGregor. It's a pharmaceutical company. I handle all their security. Yeah, I've seen that movie way too many times. Love that movie. Still a great movie.
It rocks.
Yeah, it does rock. I watched it not too long ago.
Yeah,
because I wanted
me
to see if it
too.
held up. Wasn't that our St. Patty's Day movie?
I think so.
Yeah, that's what it was. We watched it for St. Patty's Day. Meanwhile, I like the person here. 120 miles an hour in a Mini Cooper. Did I hear that correctly? Yes, those cars are speedy. By the way, I'll say
Watch
this.
the Italian Job.
Watch the Italian Job.
Both of them.
Exactly. You'll see those little Mini Coopers.
They zip, dude.
I'll say, by the way, you know what zips like crazy? My EV. Holy cow, that sucker is fast. The one that my friends over at Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram are lending me right now, the Jeep Wagoneer. I push the gas, just touch the gas, and that thing is flying. Before I know it, I'm doing 90 on I-5 in a regular, and I'm just weaving through. That's right. If you see something that says Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on it, and you're like, there goes Hoffman. All right, so we used to hear Hoffman coming in the Batmobile when he's driving the Dodge Charger.
Now you're in stealth mode.
Exactly. That's what it is. I'm like the Batmobile in that first Dark Knight movie in the Batman Begins. I never really understood that stealth mode thing there. It's right next to you, dude. How do you not see it? I turned off my headlights. You can't see me now. I'm in stealth mode.
That's literally what happens. He turns his lights off and drives under an overpass.
Right, and he's gone. That is the only part of that movie I find fault with, is that I'm in stealth mode now because I turned off my headlights. You can't find me anymore.
Yeah, I used to do the same thing when I was a teenager. I would hopefully I was like a little bit on a hill. I'd turn the engine off, turn off all the headlights, and coast down the hill, and hopefully nobody would catch me.
You did that?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, I had a wayward youth, more so than you, sir, and I never did something like that. I did run away from the cops one time, but I didn't think of turning off my headlights. Whatever. We will not litigate my wayward youthness on the show right now. Instead, we're going to talk about what could happen to you if you try to be like me in high school. So apparently, Seattle has adopted Star Chase to track suspect vehicles without pursuit. So what this thing basically is, it's a GPS tracker that gets fired from a device, latches itself onto your car, and they don't have to chase you. They just have to see where you're going. Now, there's a flaw with this, Mike. You know what the flaw is, right? If you pull over somewhere and ditch your vehicle, and here in Seattle, we have a lot of stolen vehicles. Now, you might recover the stolen vehicle, but who knows if it got run into a tree or anything else after that. Now, this reminds me a lot of the Millennium Falcon. Let's just shoot a GPS tracker. You're sure the tracking, the homing beacon is secure. Yes. All right. And then you follow them to Yavin, and Princess Leia knows that. So she's luring in the Death Star on the hope that there's going to be a flaw design that they can exploit. By the way, that's really ballsy. What if there was no air shaft on the Death Star? She didn't know they had a flaw. I just hope they can. Right. She said, I hope. Maybe that's why it's called A New Hope. She hoped they could find a problem with that Death Star, right? That was okay. You know what? I'm going to say this. I don't think she's such a great leader. She's not. She's luring them in, have to abandon the Hoth base. I got to say, not such a good win record. Had to be rescued from the Ewoks. Just putting that out there. I know she's cool and all, but she always has to be rescued, this princess. All right. Anyway, more likely, you know what this was taken from? Fast and Furious Part 2. Where they say, we're going to...
Too Fast, Too Furious.
Too Fast, Too Furious. We're going to fire this thing into your car. And if all three of these things can latch onto your car, all three, just two, nah. But all three latch onto your car, it shuts down your engine. Unless you can grab it with your T-shirt and pull it out of your car while traveling at extremely fast speeds on a Miami freeway. All right, this seems like a way simpler version of that. Do I have a problem with this? I bet you the left is going to have a problem with this. But here's something else I say. Mike, have you seen any cops pulling anybody over for speeding?
How about no?
Right. They don't really do that no more. So this is more meant for high-speed pursuit kind of things, right? Speaking of Fast and Furious, by the way, Mike sent me this article today, and I'm tying it into our little Fast and Furious segment here, right, where we talk about this kind of stuff. Exactly. Damn, Street Racer. That's the director of that movie. That's that Cohen fella. So, apparently Universal Studios in Orlando is shutting down their Fast and Furious ride and replacing it with a roller coaster. I was explaining this to Mike. Having experienced the Fast and Furious ride, for those of you who have been down to Universal Studios California, Hollywood, that one. So you know when you go on the tram tour, it pulls into this warehouse. You think you're going into a movie studio or something, and that's where the Fast and Furious ride is. First, you have some of the characters that are holograms, really well done holograms, by the way, and they're talking to each other and whatever. And then what happens? The tram pulls forward, and around you is this 4D projection of Dominic Toretto driving a Charger, hanging from the landing skids of a helicopter. Yeah, it's a whole crazy thing. And it's fun when you're on the tram tour because the tram tour has other attractions. You go the King Kong thing, you see the Back to the Future courthouse. You know, you're spending all this time in the back lot. It's fine for like a 2-minute ride. That's why I was so disappointed when I went to Universal Studios in Orlando. Because what happened was, they said, it's the Fast and Furious supercharged. And I'm thinking, this is going to be great. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be supercharged. And we wait in this ridiculously long line. And what happens? I'm standing there. And a party bus pulls up that looks shockingly like the tram. Now, there's no tram tour in Orlando because there's no back lot. And I said, wait a minute. And I said to my boys, oh, no. And they said, what, Dad? I said, it's going to be the same thing from the tram tour. It's going to be the same ride. Now, it's still fun and cool, but waiting an hour and a half in line for that is not that cool. So apparently, other people agreed with me, and they're going to be replacing it with a massive, massive roller coaster. Except, even though it's Fast and Furious-themed roller coaster, wouldn't you do a more car-themed ride? Drive them on a track? Something of that nature, something Cars-related than a roller coaster? I don't know. You tell me what you think. 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Speaking of cars, when we come back, a guy who just got to Washington got his car tab registration for his Tesla. And his reaction is the one we've all had before, and it will entertain you or make you cry. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, coming up at 5:45, your chance to win fantabulous prizes, including $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card and tickets to the Bremerton Air Show. Yet another reason, always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI. Left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com, download the KVI app, and, of course, subscribe to us on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. Do you remember when Bob Ferguson and the Democrats passed the largest tax increase in state history? Do you remember how before Bob Ferguson and the Democrats were warned if they passed the largest tax increase in state history by companies like Microsoft, Amazon, even the Mariners, that they would be out of here? I think it's already happening. I really, really do. Have you noticed the headlines we've seen in the last 2 days? This was just yesterday. This one, headline from the Seattle Times. Microsoft planning thousands more job cuts aimed at salespeople. Okay. They claim it has something to do with AI. Now, let's not forget, they had another round of layoffs in May that hit 6,000 people. I have a theory of what's happening. I think they need to cut costs. Don't get me wrong, it's a rough economy. Things haven't completely come around. But I think it's convenient timing. If they cut the jobs here, they can slowly move out of Washington State. Because, let's not forget, the Democrats decide to do their ridiculous payroll tax on everybody. So my guess is they're going to continue doing things like this. By the way, why would Starbucks keep their corporate headquarters here? Why would they? That makes no sense whatsoever. I know you started here, but you know what? You can still have your little tour. Nobody goes to the Starbucks headquarters to visit it. Most people don't even know it's there, even though the mermaid's head is on top of it. They don't even know, right? But most people, where do they go? They go to the Pike Place Market, which isn't even the original Starbucks. They just are told that it is, and they believe it and take their picture. And you got the naked mermaid with her things hanging out, and everybody's very happy. Okay, right? Oh, he's moving his way on over. There we go. I knew he was going to touch that. All right. So what happens? Then I saw this from Amazon. This one from Fox 13. Amazon representatives have announced plans to reduce their workforce amid an increased commitment to implementing AI services. Is this a new thing? Oh, it's AI. It's AI. We're getting rid of more people. It's AI. Now, I'm not saying AI doesn't do cool things. Literally during the commercial breaks, I just had AI design an image for my family that I sent over to them, making a family joke for everybody. Had it during commercials, made the whole thing fantastical. The adoption of AI is expected to change the workforce dynamics, potentially reducing the corporate workforce, while creating new job opportunities focused on strategic, innovative tasks, said Amazon CEO Andy Jassy. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I'm going to tell you why. I think it's convenient, and you can get rid of people locally. I think what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing more and more cuts locally, because they don't want to pay this ridiculous tax. There's a video that's going around the interwebs. I saw it on Wall Street Apes. I assume it came from somebody's private social media account. He had the experience all of us have had before. Well, all of us who live in Western Washington are in the RTA zone for Sound Transit. He got his car tab registration and absolutely freaked out. In this video, you just see his bill. And he's going line by line on his bill for a Tesla.
All those people that said, you don't got to pay that every year. You lying. I don't pay that in Washington State. Look what I got to pay for my registration fee in Washington State for my Tesla Model S Plaid 2023. $1,659.25. It only went down 1%. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? I'm going to be calling that number like, no, this is not happening. This is crazy. I told you guys I got to pay this every year. Nobody believes me. Thank you, Washington State.
You got to pay $1,000 to register your car every single year, and that's an EV. My gas guzzler is about half of that, and I think that's outrageous. $1,000 to register your car every single year. It ain't worth it. It just ain't worth it. So you know what? A lot of people are saying, I'll take the ticket. Give me a ticket. Mike, I don't know if you've noticed this. I've noticed this a lot more recently since I started looking for it. Have you noticed how few vehicles actually have up-to-date car tabs on them these days? We got a lot of listeners to the Ari Hoffman show out there because a lot of people must be following my bad example where they're not paying for their car tabs because they've done the same math I do. So wait a second. What's the ticket on no registration for your car? I think it's like $150, let's say something like that. And you can always appeal these things and fight these things and bargain these things down. So the guy with $1,000, he can get 9 tickets, 10 tickets before it equals the amount he would have paid to register the car. You really think he's going to get 9 or 10 tickets in the year? Of course not. This is the kind of stuff. This is why Washington is the 3rd most expensive state to live in. Oh, and for all of you that were sharing that article the other day, talking about how our expenses are so high, those calculations were done before Bob Ferguson and the Democrats passed the largest tax increase in Washington state history. This was published on social media by a guy named Steven Sinofsky. He writes, gut-wrenching story from Seattle about how a city and a state can destroy a small business, one rule, one tax, one bureaucratic hoop at a time. For decades, there's been a 24/7 breakfast spot in downtown Seattle, a beloved place that I've been going to since the 1990s. I came here late nights after Microsoft events like company holiday parties many times. It's been a favorite spot between sporting events or when landing after an international flight. I wrote many Microsoft memos sitting at its counter. There are employees who had worked there for years and called the owner dad. Through thick and thin, it survived. Earthquake, WTO riots, Kurt Cobain and grunge, Occupy Seattle, Mardi Gras riots, new stadiums, even a rebranding of the store. Until the owner decided to retire. He found a buyer, an investor who wanted to run it as is, a rare thing. The staff stayed, the vibe stayed, the legacy lived on. As someone who grew up in a family business, the idea of finding a buyer to continue a family-created business is a blessing. But the moment that ink dried, the state of Washington and the city of Seattle lined up to bleed the new owner dry. Fire department demanded kitchen upgrades. Utility contracts had to be renegotiated. B&O taxes had recently gone up. Mandatory wage increases. Sure, there were increasing food costs. Obviously, the state doesn't control those, but customers live in the real world and understand those. All in the wake of a pandemic that decimated downtown foot traffic amid an ongoing storm of drug use, homelessness, and crime outside the front door. Tents all over, drug dealers in the parking lot. Nearby businesses closed and abandoned, making the area unsafe and unwelcome for visitors. The constant harassment of customers by the homeless, the lack of police response to people forcing their way into the store, not to buy anything, but to harass customers and use the bathroom. They recently had to put a combination door on the bathroom. The result, a nearly $2 million negative cash flow. The new owner says this is not sustainable. After 1 year, this place, this remaining icon, might close. It's the same place with the same menu and the same employees. The change was the business climate and the city environment. And it's not alone. A favorite diner I used to walk to run by, a family for nearly 30 years, closed too. Rent hikes pushed them out before the pandemic. And so this is the kind of stuff, guys. This is what's happening all over Washington. You want to know why there's so many empty stores in downtown? Yeah, this is all contributing factors. And it's only going to get worse. Can you imagine if Microsoft fully leaves? Can you imagine if Amazon fully leaves? Our Democratic politicians will have killed the golden goose. And you know what happens after that? Guess who they turn to when they don't have that corporate money coming in anymore? You, including those of you who voted for them. This is going to hit you the worst. Elections have consequences, my friends. When we come back, lots more to talk about. The WNBA appears to have more fighting than hockey. I'll tell you the latest insanity that's actually made me kind of want to watch when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Got the live video stream back up and running again today, so you can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and, of course, over on X. Yet another reason to always check out the live stream is that we have our Good News giveaway coming up at 5:45, where you can win fantabulous prizes. So I don't know if I take back every single bad word I said about the WNBA or I double down on every single bad word I said about the WNBA. What do I mean by this? What's happening to Caitlin Clark, getting the crap kicked out of her on a regular basis, is just plain wrong. Just plain wrong. I mean, I think back to what happened to Jackie Robinson. Yes, I'm drawing that comparison because Jackie Robinson, people didn't want him in that league so bad because of the color of his skin. They beat the hell out of him. They threw baseballs at his head. They ridiculed him. They did everything they possibly could to keep him out of that game, to discourage him from playing. This is more than rookie hazing. The person I think got the most of it before him was Hank Greenberg, who was Jewish, who had to deal with that kind of stuff too. And now you're seeing it happen to Caitlin Clark. And why is it they don't like her? Can you imagine if everybody in the NBA started beating up Michael Jordan because he was such a good player? Can you imagine if they just started assaulting him because he was a good player? I think this has moved on from the racial aspect of this, which was around there originally, to just they don't like her because she's more popular than any of them. How many players from the WNBA can you name? Well, now all of a sudden things are getting a little bit more exciting to watch. A little bit more exciting. Let me tell you what happened the other night. So this, according to Sports Illustrated, the WNBA has levied additional punishments on players involved in two separate dust-ups during the Indiana Fever's 88-71 win over the Connecticut Sun on Tuesday night. Sun guard Marina Mabry's technical from her scuffle with Caitlin Clark has been upgraded to a flagrant 2, according to ESPN. Mabry will face a fine, as is normal for players who are issued a flagrant foul. The fine for a flagrant 2 is $400. Well, that's like her entire salary right there, right? They're always complaining about that. Fever guard Sophie Cunningham received a flagrant 2 and an automatic ejection from the game. She was also fined separately for a hard foul at the Suns' J.C. Sheldon at the end of the fourth quarter. Let me go over what happened. Sheldon kind of got Caitlin Clark in the eyes during a play, went right for the face. And then Marina Mabry kind of elbowed her and knocked her to the ground. I mean, crazy stuff happening.
It's a full body check.
It really is. It's a full, you know what? Elbowing isn't the right way to put it. Yes, it's a full body check, the way you put it. It is flagrant. So what happens is this other one, Cunningham, goes and defends her teammate in a follow-up play and basically wraps her arms around her in a bear hug and takes her down for hurting her teammates.
It's like something out of the WWE. It was pretty cool to see.
It was awesome.
She's like, wham!
It was awesome. Now, what's fascinating to me is
best $400 you'll ever spend.
Exactly right. What's fascinating to me is Sophie Cunningham, who's Caitlin Clark's teammate, her jerseys have apparently sold out. Now, I got to ask how many WNBA jerseys are there in the first place, but okay, fine. Apparently, people were so impressed with her defending her teammate and that she's easy on the eyes, they sold out her jersey in 5 minutes after this whole incident because the video went viral. Because you stuck up for your teammate. Now, what's fascinating to me, is can you imagine this happening to Michael Jordan? Can you imagine this happening to any baseball, anything else like this? This is happening in the WNBA. Ladies, I know you want to be in the headlines. This is not the way to do it. You know who comes out smelling like roses? Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. You know why? Their team won afterwards. So you're beating the hell out of them, and you're losing badly every single time. The amount of stuff that Caitlin Clark has to put up with in this league is beyond crazy. Absolutely beyond crazy. Mike looks like he wants to weigh in.
It's bonkers, Ari, because we've been talking about this since last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a full year. It's been long enough to where that old Babylon Bee headline where it's like, Caitlin Clark squished by falling anvil, no foul, right. That kind of thing. They posted that a year ago, and It's come back around again. And the thing that's so frustrating to me is that the WNBA still doesn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when the Fever came to town here? There were people lining up the streets. Like I had trouble getting home that night because that's like one of the few Storm games that they actually sold out because everybody wanted to see Caitlin Clark. And the league, the other players, the other teams, rather than embracing this person, they're still a year later fighting against her.
Right, and think about this. How many of the people who have assaulted her, that's what I'm going to say at this point, how many of those players...
Well, it's not like they're spraying her with water or anything. Come on, man.
How many of those players can you name? None. You know the only name anybody knows? Caitlin Clark. Now they know Sophie Cunningham, too. They know the people on the Fever. They don't know the other guys, gals. Think about that for a second. Not working out in their favor. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. When we come back, is President Trump actually going to wait 2 weeks before bombing Iran, or is this all just a delay tactic? We'll discuss. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories. Streaming live at KVI.com and on the KVI app. You want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves. Give us a call or a text on the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up at 5:45, your chance to win fantabulous prizes, including a $50 Daniels Broiler gift card, plus tickets to the Bremerton Air Show. But before we get to any of that, we go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Brian at Edmonds. Brian, what's going on?
Oh, I just wanted to weigh in a little bit briefly on the issue of replacing immigrant labor and asking the question why we've become so reliant on it. I think immigrant labor is great. I think the folks that do that work very hard, and we owe them a debt of gratitude for everything they're doing. And now suddenly when we have that labor force being threatened for various reasons, I hear the question all the time that local people won't do the work that the immigrants will do. And I want to just ask the question, though, why? Why won't local people do the work? They used to do the work, right?
Yep.
Anybody over the age of 50 or 60 years old, certainly anybody in their 70s and 80s, remembers working in the fields as a 10-year-old or even younger. Up into the 70s, 75, 80, 1980, somewhere in that range, it began to really change. Laws became more stringent. Kids were restricted from doing, labor. 10-year-olds couldn't work in the field anymore. All the laws began to change. And so culturally, I submit we've done it to ourselves.
I would agree.
We owe a debt of gratitude for the immigrants. I think it's wonderful what they're doing and harvesting all the food and doing that. But why? Why are we so reliant on that labor force?
Well, let's do this.
Why won't?
Let me break it down a few ways for you. Number one, I want to call out the hypocrisy of the Democrats. The Democrats always say we need a higher minimum wage. But wait. They do the jobs Americans won't do, and they do it for cheaper, and we can't afford to run our business by paying American costs. That's the Democrats, right? Those are both conflicting ideals, and those are both the Democrats. Meanwhile, what's happened to our labor force here in America? Are you a Transformers fan? Have you seen the Transformers movies, Brian?
Oh, sure.
Okay. The third one, Sam Witwicky, goes into an office and John Malkovich is his boss on the yellow floor. And everything has to be yellow on the floor. And he's all mad because there's a Twizzler. But Sam Witwicky doesn't want the entry-level job. Sam Witwicky, what John Malkovich says to him is he goes, you don't want this job. You want the next job, but you have to do this job in order to get the next job. Every single one of these kids has been told if you go to college, you're going to get a great job. It just ain't the case anymore. Majoring in underwater basket weaving or lesbian dance theory or anything else isn't working out for these kids, and they can't get jobs. And meanwhile, a lot of them have completely lost that work ethic. I cannot believe how many kids I know go to camp for like 2 weeks or something and then sit around the rest of the summer. I cannot remember a time after I was the age of 10 where I didn't have a job. I was always babysitting, or I was always working for a caterer, or I was always helping out, anything to earn a few bucks so I could go buy CDs or posters or whatever junk I wanted, but I always had a job. That is missing. Sure. That is really missing. In fact, when I was running my own company, I never hired illegal immigrants. Everybody was always legal. But when I had my event rental company and I had to hire help, it was killing me how few teenagers wanted to work during the summer. And the few that did are like, do you have any idea how much money Hoffman's paying us to work for this company? And yet I couldn't believe how many of them just said, no, I'd rather play Xbox, or I'd rather just sit home on my butt. So you factor all those things together and you have a problem. Now, let me ask you this, Brian, because you brought up the issue. We did this a week and a half ago or so. If there was a pathway to citizenship, because the Democrats love saying that, which said to illegal immigrants who are currently here, who are working these jobs, because don't forget, they were going to be doing all these raids of all these locations, and Trump stopped that. So if they're here working the jobs, they don't have a felony record. They don't have a felony conviction. If they paid a fine, couldn't do chain migration for their families, had full background checks, had kept their noses clean, were on some kind of probation period for X amount of years, would you support people like that becoming citizens?
It's a great question. I think the first people you asked is those that came here legally and did it the right way in the first place.
And those are the ones we got the pushback from. Those are the ones who called my show very upset about the idea. They said, we recognize where you're coming from with this, but we did it legally. We did it the right way. So very savvy of you to call that out, Brian.
No, I think that it's totally true. I mean, some folks have been waiting a long time, spent a lot of money to try to get it done, and I think it'd be tough to circumvent that because either it's legal to come across into the country or it's not. And if you're not documented, then it is illegal, right? I mean, no matter how nice of a guy you are, how hard you work, how much taxes you pay, if you're not legal, you're not legal. And I don't want to deep dive too much into that, but I don't know how changing that and not keeping it the same for everybody would be a benefit.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I can't say. I don't see how that plays out.
I agree.
So,
I think it would be fascinating, though, if all of a sudden these illegal immigrants who now become citizens, I don't say amnesty, not amnesty, absolutely not amnesty. It's one of the biggest hits I have against President Reagan, who's my favorite president. But the thing is here is that how many of these illegal immigrants would then vote Republican? Or, it's the kind of thing where they could never, if you put in a caveat, they can't have ever taken welfare before, or any other of these things. How many of them would become Republicans? It's a fascinating thing to look at. Brian, great call. Great perspectives. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. I'll ask the question again. Would you support a program like this? I think we called it the Golden Road to Citizenship. Would you support a program like that? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Chuck says over on the KVI Warrior Injury Law text line, I used to deliver the Seattle Times and the Seattle PI. But teenage kids cannot legally do that anymore. Yeah. I mean, my son, he's 17. He wants every job he'll take. He can only take cash jobs because so many people won't hire him because he's 18. He was trying to get a walk-along with a doctor. And they wouldn't even let him do that in the hospital because he's 18. He's not doing surgery or anything. He's just observing to learn because the kid wants to be a doctor one day. They wouldn't even let him do that because he's not 18. Exactly. They won't let the kids do some of the jobs they want anymore. Let us know what you think. 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Meanwhile, Florida has its own way of dealing with illegal immigrants. And they call it Alligator Alcatraz. Yes, this is not a joke, my friends. This is something they are now promoting in Florida.
Attorney General James Upmeyer here at the Miami-Dade Collier training facility. This is an old, virtually abandoned airport facility right in the middle of the Everglades. Florida's been leading on immigration enforcement, supporting the Trump administration and ICE's efforts to detain and deport criminal aliens. The governor tasked state leaders to identify places for new temporary detention facilities. I think this is the best one. As I call it, Alligator Alcatraz. This 30-square-mile area is completely surrounded by the Everglades. Presents a efficient, low-cost opportunity to build a temporary detention facility because you don't need to invest that much in the perimeter. People get out, there's not much waiting for them other than alligators and pythons. Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. Within just 30 to 60 days after we begin construction, it could be up and running and could house as many as 1,000 criminal aliens. This presents a great opportunity for the state of Florida to work with Miami-Dade and Collier counties. Alligator Alcatraz, we're ready to go.
Alligator Alcatraz. Do you think that we need something like that in every state? What would you put here? What would you have here in Washington? Do we have any predatory type things out here that I get? Orca Alcatraz. It doesn't have the same vibe to it, not really. But you need to feed the alligators something. You need to feed the python something. You can't just leave them there. I mean, fun idea and all, but this Alligator Alcatraz, pretty entertaining. I am enjoying it, by the way. Meanwhile, by the way, illegal aliens released into the U.S. in May. Under Joe Biden, 62,000. That's in May of 2024, 62,000. Would you like to know how many this month? 0. Donald Trump's approval ratings are going up. It's because of things like this. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from Mike in Queen Anne. Mike, what's going on?
Hey, I got an illegal that's working for me whom I happen to love, and he works his tail off. And they say, these guys don't get paid as much because they're cheaper. He gets paid as much as his boss does, as I do. And that I have went through American kids. They can't do the work. They don't show up. They're just lazy and won't produce anything for their money. And, of course, they get paid less than he does because they won't show up and do the work.
Yeah.
And he gets the exact same wage as me. After a year and 4 months, he's up to a master carpenter wage with me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Think about this, Mike. Let me put this question to you. For the thing I mentioned before, I know you were sitting on hold listening to this. For the thing I mentioned before, if there was some pathway to citizenship and you had part of the program, you had to be sponsored by your employer, would you sponsor your employee for citizenship?
In a second, he paid money, paid thousands of dollars to get an attorney and get work permits and do it all the right way, even though he came into our country illegally. Now those permits have expired, and he's having a heck of a time trying to get them put back in.
Right. I think this is an issue that actually Donald Trump can turn it on the Democrats and say, I dare you to vote against this. I dare you to vote against this, because according to Pew Research polling, which is actually one of the few nonpartisan polling outfits still left, it says, yes, over 80% of Americans want the border secure and want the criminals gone. But also,
I'm there.
Right, but also over 80% of the Americans, and I think this is describing you, Mike, over 80% of the Americans are saying, for the ones who are here who haven't committed a crime, who haven't lived on welfare, who haven't done anything wrong, if you find a way to solve the chain migration issue so they can't bring family member after family member or anything else like that, we're okay with them being citizens. So it sounds like you would support something like that.
Yeah, he's never taken welfare. He's never taken any kind of charity other than living with the church.
Yeah, there you go. Something perfect like that. Mike, I appreciate you sharing the story with us. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. This from the 206, from Tom. No to the immigration idea. One exception leads to another one. As soon as Democrats get back in power, follow the law. Yeah, that's what they tried to do with DACA. It's a fair point. I don't think we're going to solve this easily. So, Tom, I'll say to you, what is your solution for the problems we're having right now? Because it is a multi-level thing. You want to say kick everybody out, that's great. But we do have issues, and I hate to quote the Democrats here, we do have issues of America. Though they don't say this. They don't acknowledge this. But Mike just acknowledged this. We have a problem with American kids that won't do the jobs. They're unreliable. They don't show up. They're addicted to their cell phones. Made that way by TikTok. By the way, TikTok ban that got pushed again by President Trump. Made that way by social media. That is a legit concern. How do you solve that one? Anybody who says no to the immigration idea, that's fine. Perfectly reasonable. Tell me how you solve the worker issue where we don't have enough people working right now. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from Stilgar in Newcastle. Stilgar, what's going on?
Well, you kind of stole my idea or my thunder here to some degree, but I think the big issue is, and the big hang-up is the whole citizenship idea. I think if you had some sort of company-sponsored permanent residency, indefinite green card, something like that, where people can live openly and do business and things like that, that would be fine. The problem is that we all know, or most of us understand, that part of the drive behind all of this illegal immigration is that there's a political benefit to it for the left, especially, where they think they're going to all vote for them once they give them citizenship, and they probably would. So I think that basically the problem is that citizenship comes with certain things like voting, and I don't think that that's something that we should be cavalier about at all. I think that there's some sort of sensible middle ground, I think, that most people could probably agree with, because, yes, we all know people that have been here for 20 or 30 years, have raised their families, and are doing it kind of under the radar with stolen Social Security numbers and things like that. And if they could get above board, I think they would feel better, and we would feel better, and we could certainly all agree on getting rid of the criminals.
So then let me put this to you, Stilgar. Your big thing is the voting aspect, right? That's your big thing. You don't want citizenship because of that. So let me ask you this as an incentive. Is there something like, if you've kept your nose clean on this guest worker program or whatever it is for, let's say, 20 years or something like that, would then you be open to the citizenship angle?
I don't think so. I think anytime you put that in there, it's going to get gamed. I think that it's there's too many little create loopholes like that. I think it causes people to go through those loopholes, find different things. I mean, look at motor voter, look at things like what apparently happened with the Chinese and all of their apparently mail-in ballot shenanigans.
Oh, yeah, that's being investigated right now. Yeah, absolutely. See, this is not something that's going to get solved easily. It's really, really not. Stilgar, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Forrest Cat says over on the text line, where do I get an I Heart Alligator Alcatraz bumper sticker? Oh, that's good. Steve from Shoreline says, how about MAGA McNeil Island? Oh, that's excellent, Steve. Very, very good. John in Lakewood says, only a constitutional amendment will solve the immigration issue. Yeah, see, this is the thing right here. There's going to be a lot of discussion about it. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people don't even want to have the discussion. They just want to demonize the other side. Who's one of the people who's been demonizing the other side the most? Gavin Newsom. So, according to Chris Rufo, California Governor Gavin Newsom attended a luxury wine tasting in Napa while rioters had already begun barricading streets, lighting cars on fire, and attacking law enforcement in Los Angeles. Newsom was sipping Cabernet while California burned. Yes, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Oh, wait, there's some feisty responses on this thread. Governor Newsom's press office, by the way, that guy's a peach. I have dealt with him before, not Newsom, his press guy. You are such a dishonest hack. You deliberately omitted key context that we were doing it for cancer research. Okay. You know you leave the fundraiser when your state is on fire. It doesn't matter if your state is on fire. You leave. And by the way, Rufo wrote that in the article itself for City Journal, saying, yes, he was at this fundraiser, but that's what he was doing while California burned. You know, George Bush finished reading the book to the little kids, didn't want to freak out the kids by the president getting whisked out of the room, then immediately went to Air Force One and dealt with 9/11. You leave an event when your city, when your state is on fire. Gavin Newsom doesn't do things like that. Gavin Newsom loves his wine. Oh, was the French Laundry not available that day? Were they booked for that night? You weren't able to book them? Is that what's going on? When we come back, my friends, lots more to discuss as the show continues, including, is President Trump actually going to wait 2 weeks before taking the chain off Israel and letting them take out the Ayatollah? We'll discuss, but first, Todd Herman's Daily Thoughtcast right now on the Ari Hoffman Show. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, coming up at 5:45, your chance to win fantabulous prizes, including a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card, plus tickets to the Bremerton Air Show. I'm really excited to be going out there this year. Yet another reason, always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI. Left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com, download the KVI app, and, of course, subscribe to us on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. So what's going on in the Middle East right now? Yesterday, Iran bombed an Israeli hospital. Now, these aren't like Hamas's rockets where they just fire them willy-nilly and hope they hit things. These are ballistic missiles, which means they targeted the hospital. And a miracle happened where it happened to land in the courtyard and didn't impact any buildings except for one that was evacuated the day before because they realized it was a risk. I mean, you want to see God's movement in everyday life? That's where you see something like that. Could have been hundreds of victims. And instead, you just had some injuries. I don't think anybody even died in the attack. Yeah, if it was the Gaza Health Ministry, 1,700 people were killed. Well, can you show us the names of the bodies? No. Die, infidel, die, right? No, you wouldn't see any of that kind of stuff. That's what would happen. Oh, he's grabbing the headphones.
No, it's the sweet cherub-faced children. Only sweet cherub-faced children. Well, pictures? No, trust me. Source? Trust me, bro.
Yeah,
Trust me, bro.
exactly. It was only women and children. 1,600 women and children. They're only at the hospital. We don't allow men to work there at all.
Only the cute ones, too.
Yes, exactly. Wait, that kid's leg is still moving. Shut up, infidel. Yeah, no.
No uggos.
So, yeah, we'll forget Pallywood for a minute here, and we'll move on to what's going on with Iran. So, basically last night, after Iran hits a hospital, everybody in my world was saying, turn Iran to glass. We don't care anymore. Bomb the Ayatollah's house. So, what happens? This is one of the first questions the press secretary addressed this morning in the White House press briefing room.
Regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
Okay. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So do you think Trump actually keeps the 2 weeks, or do you think this is a head fake like last time? Okay, there's so many 4D chess things that have happened in the past month. Let's go through them. So there was the 60 days, right? We're going to give you 60 days from April 12th. 60 days, Iran doesn't make a deal, and guess what? Israel starts bombing on June 13th. Right, that's it. He gave them 60 days. They didn't keep the 60 days. But also, let's not forget, Trump was saying, I don't know if they're going to bomb. They may bomb. Bibi's a great guy. I don't know. He's got the best bombers, the best planes. I don't know if he's going to do it. I don't know. He didn't tell me. And then what happens? They bomb. Is the 2 weeks all right, look, Ayatollah, he's not going to bomb you today. You got 2 weeks to dismantle your nuclear reactor and come to the table, and we'll talk. Do I call you Aya? Do I call you Tola? What do you want me to? We're going to become best friends, like me and Vlad. We're going to be best friends, the best friends in the entire world. Is that what's going on? Or is it really, well, I'm kind of telling them not to bomb you, but, they're really, really going to bomb you? I kind of wonder what you think. Let us know what you think. 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. After all, what would a deal actually look like with Iran?
What exactly would a deal with Iran need to entail?
No enrichment of a uranium, and it would absolutely not. Iran is absolutely not able to achieve a nuclear weapon. The president has been very clear about that. And by the way, the deal that Special Envoy Witkoff proposed to the Iranians was both realistic and acceptable within its terms, and that's why the president is sent that deal to them.
By the way, that is everything that Israel has asked for. They're not asking for regime change. They say they cannot have a nuclear weapon. Press secretary said, yeah, it's okay to try diplomacy,
So the president is always interested in a diplomatic solution to the problems and the global conflicts in this world. Again, he is a peacemaker in chief. He is the peace through strength president. And so if there's a chance for diplomacy, the president's always going to grab it. But he's not afraid to use strength as well, I will add.
I would call that America first. reporters were asking about what's Trump's doctrine. How would you call the Trump doctrine? Here's what the press secretary said.
When it comes to the president's position on foreign policy in general, is there a phrase that the White House has coined? Is there a Trump doctrine? Does the president like to talk about this? Anyone here in the White House talking about this? And if so, if there is something akin to a Trump doctrine, how would you define it?
America first, always. And with that, I think I'll leave you. I know there's a lot of news in the world right now. As you know, our team is always here to answer your questions. And the president, I am sure, will take more questions from you guys at some point this week, as he always does in the effort of transparency. I appreciate your being here on a federal holiday, and we'll see you later. Thank you.
I would absolutely love to see bumper stickers that just say America first, always. I like that line. They should put that on everything. Everything. By the way, the morons over at The View. So, you know the people on our side, on the far, far, far right, who are trying to spin this and have no idea what they're talking about? The most recent one is Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz said one of the dumbest things I have ever seen on social media regarding all this. I think he's just going for the clicks at this point because nobody's actually watching his show on OAN. He writes, if Israel's a democracy, when do all the Arabs who live there get to vote? Buddy, they've been voting since Israel became a state in 1948. Arabs have been voting in Israel since the state was created. They also serve in the Knesset, which is Israel's Congress, and on the Supreme Court. Do you think Matt Gaetz is ignorant, playing dumb for clicks, or just a liar? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Scott in Issaquah. Scott, what's up, man?
Oh, not a whole lot. Just getting off work. But yeah, it's been a while since I talked to you, and I just wanted to voice my support for Israel. And I think this is the perfect chance to really put a stop to Iran. I mean, let's dismember this. Let's get rid of this leader. I mean, he murders women. He kills them. This guy he doesn't have any right to be leading a nation whatsoever. And I would argue that 50% of the Iranians hate their government anyways. And this is just the perfect opportunity. Let's wipe out all their nuclear facilities. Let's find this guy. Let's get some bunker buster bombs, take him out. I mean, no one's going to stand up for him. Even Russia doesn't care. So it's time to do something about it. This country has been, ever since the Shah was overthrown, that country's been a mess. And they've been attacking Israel for years.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. Here's the thing, though. The thing is, you have to worry about people who are worried about regime change. If the people rise up against the Ayatollah, that's their own country doing it. That's not us being involved in it. We don't have to go selling democracy to everybody, and we don't need boots on the ground. So think about this for a second. One of the reasons Israel's bombing their police stations, and you go, why are they bombing police stations? Their police are not our police. Their police are religious police. Their police are the ones who put down uprisings. That's their police. So if they're bombing the police stations, the reason they're doing that is so that the Iranians can overthrow the Ayatollah, so they can take back their country. Because if you don't have a movement on the ground to actually do that, we're stuck dealing with it, and I don't think any of us want to be stuck dealing with it. Look at Libya. We didn't really do anything there. You just had Barack Obama messing around in there, and look how that country's doing.
Yeah. Well, so are the liberals complaining about us bombing the police over there or something?
No, they complain about everything. Whatever Trump does, they get mad. I want to see him say something like...
They bomb our police.
Right, exactly. Exactly. I want to see Trump say something like... I want to see Trump say, I love socialism, just for fun, and watch the Democrats go, no, socialism's bad. And he goes, haha, got you. Right? I want to see...
my buddy...
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see Trump identify as the first female president, and them go, you can't just do that. And him go, exactly.
My buddy was telling me about a shirt. It was a Smokey the Bear shirt. Only you can prevent socialism. I want to get that shirt.
That's very good. Maybe we should sell them at kvi.com. Appreciate the call, Scott. Appreciate being part of the show. You want to be part of the show? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, my friends, I have not acknowledged the federal holiday that Caroline Levitt, our press secretary, was talking about. When we come back, how we honor Juneteenth at KVI, and my hope to finally get a movie made that could celebrate this holiday appropriately. We'll tell you what it is when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just to remind you, coming up at 5:45, your chance to win fantabulous prizes, including a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card and tickets to the Bremerton Air Show. Yeah, another reason to always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI. Left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com, download the KVI app, and, of course, subscribe to us on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. So it's Juneteenth. And you know what? I don't really have a problem with the holiday. I have a problem in the way they made the holiday. Personally, I think Donald Trump, it would have been the ultimate troll in the world to do that during the BLM riots and everything else, and then them get all mad at him for it. That would have been great. Now, you can make it a federal holiday, but my issue with federal holidays is if you're having these federal holidays to remember this great stuff that people did or whatever cause it is, nobody's in school. If nobody's in school, how are they going to learn about your federal holiday? Then all they're going to do is take the day off. I can't believe how many people have the day off today. I can't believe how many people have the day off today because of this Juneteenth thing. In the middle of the week, too? You guys couldn't say, oh, it's the first Monday or something. It's always in the middle of the week. It's always very, very inconvenient. Now, I'm going to make my annual pitch for this. We talk about Hollywood being out of ideas. My annual pitch on Juneteenth is for this movie to get made about Robert Smalls. Hollywood doesn't have any originality left. This is I think one of the most original untold stories there is. According to biography.com, Robert Smalls was an enslaved African-American who escaped to freedom in a Confederate Navy supply ship and eventually became a sea captain for the Union Navy. After the war, he became a successful businessman and politician, serving in both houses of the South Carolina legislature. He was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1875, and he eventually bought the home he was enslaved in. Smalls was born to a house as an enslaved person, Lydia Polite, in Beaufort, South Carolina on April 5th, 1839. The identity of his father is not officially known. Smalls was raised in a McKee house and enjoyed a little more acceptance in the community. On several occasions, he ignored the night curfew for black people and stayed out with white companions. When Smalls was 12, the McKee family moved to Charleston, where Smalls was hired as a day laborer on the waterfront, worked as a rigger, and eventually a sailor. In 1856, he married Hannah Jones, an enslaved hotel maid, who worked in Charleston. Jones already had one daughter, and together she and Smalls had a daughter and a son, Robert Jr. Smalls' attempt to buy his wife and family out of slavery failed. At the outbreak of the Civil War, in March 1861, Smalls was hired as a deckhand on the Confederate supply ship, the Planter, a converted cotton steamer that carried supplies between forts in Charleston Harbor. Over the course of several months, Smalls learned all he could about navigating the ship and waited for an opportunity to escape. In the pre-dawn hours of May 13, 1862, while the white officers and crew slept in Charleston, Smalls and a crew of 8 men, along with 5 women and 3 children, including Smalls' wife and 2 children, quietly slipped the Planter out of Charleston Harbor. Over the next few hours, Smalls successfully navigated the ship through 5 checkpoints, offering the correct signal to pass each, and then headed out to open waters and the Union blockade. It was daring and dangerous, and if caught, the crew was prepared to blow up the vessel. The startled crew of the USS Onward, the first ship in the blockade to spot the Planter, almost fired on it before Smalls had the Confederate flag struck and raised a white bedsheet signaling surrender. The ship's treasure of guns, ammunition, and important documents proved to be a wealth of information telling the Union commanders of shipping routes, mine locations, and times that Confederate ships docked and departed. The story of the courageous escape of Smalls became a national phenomenon and was one of the factors encouraging President Abraham Lincoln to authorize free African Americans to serve in the Union military. Congress bestowed a $1,500 cash prize on Smalls, and he went on a speaking tour recounting his heroics and recruiting African Americans to serve in the Union Army. During the rest of the war, Smalls balanced his role as a spokesperson and Union Navy captain on the Planter. He was the captain of the ship he stole. Captain of the ship he stole. And an ironclad, which he also became the captain of, conducting 17 missions in and around Charleston. After the war, Smalls was commissioned as a brigadier general in South Carolina militia, purchased his former owner's house in Beaufort, South Carolina. He generously took in some of the McKee family who were destitute. Smalls started a general store, a school for African-American children, and a newspaper. His success opened doors in politics, and soon he served as a delegate to the state's constitutional convention and was elected to both the South Carolina House of Representatives and the state Senate. He served in the United States House of Representatives. Guys, This is a Hollywood story waiting to be done. I don't know why it hasn't been made yet. This is something I look at it and I say, this is something that could be perfect. Absolutely perfect. And we complain all the time about it's another sequel, it's another prequel, it's another remake of the same movie. This is an original idea that hasn't been done yet. After his first wife's death in 1883, Smalls remarried in 1890. He served as a U.S. Customs collector, and Buford, he worked for the original ICE. There you go, worked for ICE from 1889 to 1911 and remained active in politics. He died of natural causes. His Buford home on February 23rd, 1915, at the age of 75. This is an amazing story. I kind of wonder, who would you want to play the lead in this story? Who do you think would be good for it? I think Denzel's a little old for this kind of stuff, but who would you want to play the lead in something like this? Denzel would have been great. Text us and let us know who you think should have played the lead in the Robert Small story. 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. This is my annual pitch to make this movie. I do this every single year. Mike almost knows the story by heart after all this time. And in fact, it's kind of fun putting up a post every year. Who wants to see this made into a movie? And everybody says they do. Everybody. I'll be executive producer. Associate producer, I'll be sorry. Does this cost me money to be a producer? Can I just show up, put my name on the movie?
I think it's specifically money.
Boo.
That's
I'm a
usually how
radio
that
host,
goes.
not a TV host, right? we don't have the kind of money to put into Hollywood movies. But yeah, this thing I would love to do.
What's your casting?
My casting? Who I would pick for it?
Yeah.
The problem is all the guys that are the really, Michael B. Jordan.
There it is.
Michael B. Jordan.
You
right
took
there.
it from
That's
me.
who it would be.
That would have been my pick.
Yeah, that's a good one right there. That guy's got acting chops.
Yes.
And he's very underrated right now. I still haven't seen that movie you loved. What's the one that came out with him?
You like it so much.
I like it so much I haven't seen it yet.
Sinners.
Sinners. I haven't. It's on my list. It's on my queue. It's something I want to see. But yeah, I think he'd be great for something like this. I think he'd be absolutely perfect for it. You guys think 12 Years a Slave is good? This would be way better. Now, here's the better question. Who plays the Michael Fassbender role? You need somebody else like that. Who would do that? Ari Hoffman. Yes, who would we put right in that movie? Only good news to wrap up the show. Your good news giveaway, your good news headlines, your chance to win a $50 gift card to Daniel's Broiler, plus so much more. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. It is time to feel good as we wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And before we get to our good news giveaway, I got some awesome good news headlines for you. The first one involves the Pope. We had a Pope story yesterday, Pope story today. So yesterday we talked about Ben Shapiro giving him an autographed baseball by the entire 2005 White Sox World Series champion team. Well, today, the Pope was in the Pope-mobile out in the square going through the crowd, and there's a bunch of people there chanting for the Pope. Thousands of people, including some White Sox fans. And they're chanting, White Sox, White Sox. And the Pope-mobile goes by, and the Pope starts chanting along with them.
Ready, go. White Sox, White Sox, White Sox, White Sox, White Sox, White Sox.
There he is.
White Sox, White Sox, White Sox.
Yes! They're getting excited because he's chanting along with them, White Sox, White Sox. Oh, an American Pope. So much fun. Meanwhile, speaking of fun, actor Steve Carell, who I love this guy, I'll watch anything that he's in, was the honorary speaker at the Northwestern graduation, and he took it in an interesting turn.
Another stumbling block to kindness is the act of holding a grudge. We've all done it, and it's an easy trap to fall into. 18 years ago, I attended the Academy Awards for the first time. As I walked down the red carpet, I was nervous and anxious, and I felt terribly out of place. And then I stepped on the dress of a very famous actress, stopping her in her tracks. She turned around and was so mean to me that I held a grudge against her for 17 years. Just the mention of her name put me in a bad mood. Then, a year ago, we ran into each other again. And you know what? I was right the first time. She is horrible. So, I guess what I'm saying is that in 99% of cases, grudge holding is completely a waste of time, but the other 1% can be extremely satisfying and perfectly valid. And now, as is the tradition at Northwestern commencement, I'd like to ask you to all please rise if you are able. Please stand if you can. And it is time now to follow me in the mid-commencement address dance break.
And he proceeds to dance around the crowd, with the crowd. In fact, there's a funny moment at the end of that clip where he comes back on stage. And clearly, Steve Carell has not been working out so much, according to him. And he goes, wow, I'm really out of shape. And it takes him a few minutes to get his breath back from dancing with everybody. But I just thought that was clever and funny. I'll share the video later over on my social media channels because I just thought it was very, very entertaining, where people take these speeches way, way, way too seriously. Plus, watching people dance in those funny robes, that's always funny. Before I forget, your chance to win fantabulous prizes. Today, we are giving away a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card. Daniel's Broiler has been a Seattle favorite since 1980. Features USDA prime steak and other specialties, including chicken and fresh seafood, as well as a selection of high-end spirits, wine, and cocktails. Daniel's Broiler is open now in Bellevue, downtown Seattle, Leschi, and South Lake Union with dine-in, takeout, and delivery. Check out danielsbroiler.com to reserve a table, place your takeout or delivery order, and more. We're also giving away a copy of 7 Steps to a Successful Retirement by Brian Evans of Madrona Financial and CPAs. Learn how to design your retirement to support your quality of life. For 30-plus years, from Brian Evans of Madrona Financial and CPAs, a local company working to help you grow deep financial roots so that future financial storms don't blow your life savings away. Visit MadronaFinancial.com for more information and discover how you can create a rooted wealth plan today. Last but certainly not least, we're giving away 4 tickets to the Bremerton Air Show at Bremerton Airport on July 13th. Join KVI at the Bremerton Air Show on Sunday, July 13th. That's right, we're all going to be out there. I'm going to be out there. Mike, you going to be out there too? Mike's going to be out there too. We're going to have a good time. Now, the air show itself runs... Yes, Baby Yoda will be there too. The air show itself runs both July 12th and 13th. We'll be out there on the 13th. The Bremerton Air Show is back for another year of modern military aircraft, classic planes, and world-class performers. This year's theme is Mustang Mania, featuring the largest gathering of P-51 Mustangs in the Pacific Northwest. Get tickets and learn more at bremertonairshow.com. That's bremertonairshow.com. All you have to do in order to win these fantabulous prizes is be caller number 10 at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Caller number 10. Win a $50 Daniels Broiler gift card. A copy of 7 Steps to a Successful Retirement by Brian Evans of Madrona Financial and CPAs. And 4 tickets to the Bremerton Air Show at the Bremerton Airport on July 13th, plus free parking. Phone lines are open now. Give Mike a call for your chance to win and see us in person at the Bremerton Air Show at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. I am so excited for this thing. I love air shows. I love military parades. I love all that kind of stuff. Well, that's going to do it for us today, my friends, but fear not, we will be back tomorrow with more insane stories, more exciting guests, and, of course, more giveaways. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.